And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Pattison Ave Sports Show. I'm your host, James Schools, and with you, and on a busy Saturday morning, and with me, as always, is my group of companions on a very busy, like I said, Saturday morning. Joey Marks, happy Saturday to you, and also Connor Ochuida joins us from Sports Live in the 215. Gentlemen, I know we're counting the days down until football season, but first and foremost, how are you guys on a very important, busy Saturday?
Good morning, James. Good morning, Philadelphia. Good morning, Connor. There is a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack. We got football season just on the horizon, the banner dropping, the Cowboys sinking, the Phillies rising. There's a lot to cover, and I am so excited to dive right in. But James, I wanted to first say thank you very much for holding down the fort when it comes down to producing the show. Uh,
Likewise.
so we're gonna dive right in to the Philadelphia Phillies, and we're gonna dive in and rip the Band-Aid off because I think there's more than meets the eye when it comes to this topic. Do you guys the Phillies over this past week lost and got swept in New York against the New York Mets, against our rivals, against the team that is trailing us in the division. Now I gotta ask, the Phillies came out in game one against the Braves and put a whooping on those Braves.
Mm-hmm.
My question, did the Mets series piss the Phillies off? Connor,
Hmm.
I'll start with you.
I I think so, and I think unfortunately, until proven otherwise, I just think this Phillies team just it's one of those cases where the Mets just kind of have their number, and until proven otherwise, that'll be the case. Yeah, and I think like to a man in the locker room, those guys those guys were pretty pissed off because like I think they said to themselves, I know we're still 4 games up in the division, but that performance that we just laid out in New York should piss everyone in this room off. And Friday night they came out and showed who they are. And honestly, the funny thing about baseball is the very next night they end up kind of squeaking out a 2-1 victory thanks to an Alec Bohm sacrifice fly. So that's one of those weird things about baseball. But getting back to your main question, yes, I do believe that past Met series did result in some hurt feelings.
James, same question. You think that Mets series pissed this Phillies team off? Look, you got guys on this Phillies team that are 30 somethings. You got guys on this Phillies team that this might be their last go around at a potential World Series run. You got guys in this Phillies locker room that you don't need to tell them that they should be upset at their performance.
Mm-hmm.
But on Thursday night with that 16 run, that 19 run, I'm sorry, uh, you know, got, outlets. The idea that this Phillies team is willing and able to, and I've said this before on this show, James, I've said it to you countless times. When this offense is clicking, when
Mm-hmm.
they play at their best, there is no team in the majors that can stop them.
Mm-hmm.
That they're just a runaway juggernaut. Now, that being said, we know that you can't put on that kind of performance all the time. However, like a series like with Seattle, we were able to prove we were able to sustain it a little bit more than just one game. But I gotta ask, with that output that the Phillies put out on Thursday night, was that a message to the rest of the league? Do not think that we're gonna lay down and take our medicine because we lost the series in Queens.
I think so. I think the other reason that you guys bring up a very good point here about what that Mets series was like. I mean, it was a tremendous struggle for them, like in like Mets series. I think more importantly than anything like that. But overall, I mean, the one thing I was that really stuck out to me the most was that when they came back home after that road trip, and I said, okay, now they'll try to do is that like they have a good home record at home. I think that's the most important thing. Like when they have when they have a good home record. I mean, that's what's gonna look like come playoff time to see what they have in store in that. But also Schwarber hitting those 4 home runs on Thursday night was pretty cool to see. I think it was a little bit exciting to see what they look like, and but I think the other thing too is that I think if they probably came in pissed off about that more than anything. I think that's one of the reasons why they came in very pissed off like on Thursday night after that series because, like I said, that Mets series was really brutal to really think about here, and I think for me that if they can continue to go down this road, and also like obviously, um, the thing that surprises me is that some games they look really good at times, and sometimes they look the worst at times. But right now, I think if they can continue to go down this road and continue to like have a good home record, I think they'll have more success. As the season continues to roll on here, and more importantly than anything like that, I think that'll be a big positive going into this series coming up this weekend, and obviously the next series right after that in against Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting series, and we're going to get to that in a minute. And I'm going to go back to something you brought up that I would say history making situation with Kyle Schwarber and 4 home runs in a game. The 21st person in MLB history. By
Hmm.
the way, the major leagues have been around for over 100 years. Not that anyone didn't already know that. This is a guy that's the 21st person in MLB history to hit 4 home runs in one game. The first Philly to do it since Michael Jack Schmidt in 1976. Where Michael Jack Schmidt, me and you, James, we talked about Mike Schmidt and his career in Philly Fame Legends. Please go check out that episode and hit that like and subscribe button on both Hardcore Sports Network and Stream Punk Entertainment PA. Go check out a past episode that me and James did on Michael Schmidt. Uh, we talked about it in that episode about the game in 1976 where they were down 13-2, and Michael Jack Schmidt just put the Phillies on his back and hit 4 home runs to carry the day, and actually carried the Phillies to victory that day. And so Kyle Schwarber didn't necessarily need to do that, but here's the thing that I saw. So for any wrestling fans that are out there that keep up with WWE, CM Punk comes out to Cult of Personality. And
Hmm.
before he comes down to the ring, he yells out to the crowd, "It's clobbering time." Because one of his favorite uh, Marvel superheroes is part of the Fantastic Four, the Thing.
Thing, yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the things that now Kyle Schwarber also has a walk-up song with Cult of Personality, which is ironic to me, especially after 4 home runs, because I literally was saying to my wife as he hit the third home run, I was like, I guess it's clobbering time, because the idea that he was just clobbering 1 home run after the next home run after the next home run. I think I brought this up to you, James, in Philly Fame Legends with Michael Schmidt and
Hmm.
his home run game. Why on earth do you think you would pitch to Kyle Schwarber the third time around after he's hit 2 home runs on you? I don't care. Like, I get that Bryce Harper's behind
Give
him.
him the old four fingers.
Yeah, I get that Bryce Harper's behind him, but the guy is smashing. You let Bryce smash. Like, if that's gonna be your poison, pick the right poison. Don't just beat your head against the wall. So I gotta ask, Connor, I'll start with you. What has Kyle Schwarber after this epic 4 home run game. Has Kyle Schwarber, in your mind, solidified his place as National League MVP?
Well, I believe so. And before I dive into that, I just want to say the only person happier with Kyle Schwarber's performance is his agent, because that commission check is going up and up and up and up.
You might as well have heard the cash register going off every time he hit the ball out of the park. It was like cha-ching,
Yeah, for
cha-ching,
sure.
cha-ching.
Yes, he is the I believe the number one candidate for MVP. I know the baseball purists will say he doesn't play the field, but when you hit 49 home runs, I think that kind of negates not playing the field. So I think he's got to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite, for MVP.
So I'm going to ask you the same question, James. Like, me and you have had this conversation on and off on past episodes about Kyle Schwarber and MVP and the talks, and we both agreed that Kyle Schwarber should. And Connor brings up a really good point, and it's in my show notes. Is the conversation of the baseball purists that a designated hitter should not be MVP because he doesn't play the field. I'll ask you, because you're pretty much the purest of sports fans. Like, you don't like all this nuanced nonsense sometimes. And so I will ask you, do you think that those purists are right? Like, do you think a designated hitter should be able to be the league MVP?
What happened with it happened with Shohei Ohtani last year.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons. Yeah, I mean, like, if he's playing like good baseball right now, he's happily so should be the MVP, regardless of him being a DH or not. I mean, the reason why they brought DH into a forward is because they didn't want to deal with the pitchers like pitching at the ninth inning hole anymore. But more importantly than anything like that, I think the one thing that really sticks out to me the most is that yeah, sure, he could be the MVP, but then again, they'll probably give it to Shohei Ohtani anyway, or they'll give it to somebody that is good with that situation. For me, I it should be the MVP regardless of like DH or not. I think he's playing like he's definitely ripping the cover off the ball right now. I think that's the most important thing is that with Schwarber, I mean, if he's not the MVP of the NL, I don't know who is going to win. But then again, I guess it'll probably go to somebody else. But then again, it should go to Schwarber more than anything, though, Joe.
I mean, here's the thing. They talk about B. Crow Armstrong,
Right.
over in Chicago because he plays the field. This is what I would say in response to the debate. I'm a purist too. Like, I am at heart. Like, the whole golden bat rule, that's nonsense. The whole ghost runner on second in extra innings, I'm against that. The whole the ball, now the balls and strikes, the APS system, I could be on for that because the umps are just getting more senile as they get older. So that's kind of getting annoying. But here's my thing. You bring in the designated hitter into the National League, then you have to acknowledge that they are as valuable of a player as the players that play in the outfield. When you have the players that play the field, they have a certain set of skills. They have a dual set of skills. But look at this team as a whole. So the players that play in the field, you look at all their home runs, you look at all their RBIs, you look at why the designated hitter is what the position says he is. He's the designated hitter. That's his
Right.
only responsibility, is to hit the ball effectively. If you can't do that, then you're no good to us. Like,
Right.
you're not good at your position. That being said, You look at what Kyle Schwarber has done with the home runs and the RBIs, on base percentage, batting average. He is tops in almost every category on this team. That means he's outplaying the guys that are playing the field. So they have to share both doing well in the field and doing well at the plate. Well, guess what? Kyle Schwarber's only job is to do well at the plate, and he's doing that in leaps and bounds. He's doing that to the highest possible level. This is the thing that, I was doing a little bit of research about this. So I think it was a year or two ago. It may have been a little longer than that, but Aaron Judge was going after and pursuing 61. And there was this big hoopla about, I think it was Roger Maris record, I believe. Uh, he was going after that record. Now, I get it. We could sit here and say Sammy Sosa has more home runs in a season, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds. We get that. Now, whether or not you want to count those records because of the steroid era and everything, that's up to you. But the Roger Maris one just seems to always be the holy grail of in-season home run records. Now, when Judge was closing in on that and he tied it, man, the hoopla was like crazy. The Yankees brought in the Maris family, had them there at the game when he tied it. So my question to you guys is, okay, Schwarber's at 49 home runs. We're talking about a little more than a month left of the season. This is more than possible for Kyle Schwarber to get to 61, if not beyond. My question to you guys is, what part of of Kyle Schwarber's legacy will this write? As far as we know, me and Connor and you, James, we all know that the more home runs Kyle hits, the more money his agent's going to demand. We know that. Let's just put it at where it is. Regardless if he hits 61 or more, he's going to get the max amount of money possible. We
Right.
already know that. Okay, so that being aside, what do you think it's going to mean for Kyle Schwarber's career? What do you think it's going to mean for this Phillies team if Kyle Schwarber were to beat that record? Connor, I'll start with you.
I I think it would be a tremendous coup for his career, and again that commission check would go up for his agent. Also, before I continue with that point, I want to backtrack with something you said about the ghost runner. I think if it was in the 12th inning, it would be more of a it would do more of a service to the game because it would limit like the 18, 19 inning games, but it would still keep like you'd have 2 traditional innings of baseball before you even get to that point. Yeah. But anyway, I think
no, I get where you're coming from because you're kind of taking it from the premise of like the NHL. At least the NHL still has like a type of overtime before they go to the shootout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think Kyle Schwarber has a tremendous chance to have a great season and not only pass Ryan Howard, but maybe even get to 62 or pass Aaron Judge's 62 home runs. But obviously, he's got to have some games in the next month or so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do think he has as good a shot as anybody to win National League MVP.
James, I'll ask you the same question. So if Kyle Schwarber were to go and beat this record that Judge put up,
sure,
and he's got a high likelihood of doing it. Like it's not absurd to think he can't hit 13 home runs in the next 29 or 28 or so games. Like that's not absurd. Especially for a guy who just hit 4 in one game. Like that, I'm not saying he's going to have that kind of game again, But I'm saying that there's a possibility he could have a 2 home run game. There's a possibility he could have, a streak of home runs. He could go on a heater. He's already been on a heater. My question is, what do you think that if he were to break that record, number one, what do you think it says for the legacy of Kyle Schwarber as a player? But what do you think it says about this Phillies team as a whole this season? If he were to break that record, what would it mean to the Phillies?
Well, I mean, it will be historic on a Joe. I think that's going to be the one thing that, like, even though, like, sometimes you think about it, I mean, even, like, the best players that ever played the game, like, even brought up with Mike Schmidt and even, like, a Pete Rose or maybe, like, probably, like, somebody from that 93 team didn't even came close to 61 or 62 like Aaron Judge did last year or the year before that. But, overall, I mean, he has a real good shot to go. That I mean, in these next handful of games, he has a possibility that he could hit 60. I mean, today could be a good example of that too.
Mhm.
Is that he could actually hit 60? He could actually hit the 50 home run club. That the second time that happened with a Philly player was in 2006 with Ryan Howard. So I mean, it's been a long time since like we've seen Ryan Howard, well, not Ryan Howard, but seen a Phillies player rather hit that 50 home run plateau. I mean, but usually, sometimes what it really matters the most is that um with the Phillies now it's like if after the Schwarber hits those home runs, I mean now you got to win a World Series now to come on top of it. That's the most important thing about it is that they have to. I mean, if he wins that MVP for sure, you have to win a World Series title out of it too, just to make it even more interesting.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and you bring up a really good point. So, like, there's 10 more home runs for him to capture the Phillies record for home runs in a season. Howard with 58 back in the '06 season. Now, that seems more viable than the Roger Maris record. My point, or the Aaron Judge record. My point is this. I'm with you in the sense that both when Aaron Judge broke that record, both when, like, even if you go back to like the steroid era, when you look at Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, during those eras, none of those teams, Judge, Bonds, Sosa,
Mm-hmm.
McGwire, none of
Yep.
those teams won a World Series
Yeah.
that year. So just because you can eclipse this feat, it doesn't guarantee that Kyle Schwarber is going to carry it on into the playoffs. So you got to wonder, like, we talk about this, and it's very odd because we in the city of Philadelphia are about to potentially see another historical record be broken. I go back to the Saquon Barkley conversation of last season, where he could have broke Dickerson's record and chose not to because he chose to kind of take that game and rest up because the Super Bowl was more important. My question, I mean, you can't rest a DH. He's just a designated hitter. He's not like running around in the outfield, but my thing is, if I'm Kyle Schwarber, I'm not taking my foot off the gas, but I'm staying focused. If the home runs go out, they go out. If I break the record, I break the record.
Mm-hmm.
Godspeed. But I'm not going to change my focus to, I need the record in exchange of the World Series. Now, Kyle Schwarber's already been a World Series champion. He is one of the few in that locker room that knows how that feels. I think the way Kyle Schwarber can best help this team is taking what he has done this season with the home runs, with the batting average, with the RBIs, with all of that, and convert that into follow my lead. I will take you to the promised land. Follow my lead.
Right.
And, we're going to talk a little about this in a minute, but, the Phillies in the last 2 weeks have lost a really good leader in Zach Wheeler. So they need another voice in that clubhouse that can give them that boost that they need. If Kyle Schwarber, I mean, would you not listen to a guy who's got 49 home runs and almost 120 RBIs? I wouldn't. I wouldn't
Right.
say, no, I'm not going to listen to you. I don't believe a thing you have to say. You tend to kind of follow that leader's example, and hitting is contagious. So if Kyle can continue to hit, maybe that gets everybody else going. That being said, that leads me into my next question. Connor, I'm going to ask you. This I think I know where all of us are going to go, but I just want to confirm it, and then I want to kind of follow up with it. What player in this lineup has been the biggest disappointment this season for the Philadelphia Phillies in your mind?
Biggest disappointment?
Yeah.
Man.
In the lineup.
Maybe at points Castellanos, honestly.
James, what about you?
It's been their inconsistent. I think it's been their inconsistency woes more than anything. Because if you think about the Phillies in general,
But what one player has been the most inconsistent?
it probably Castellanos.
Yeah. See,
I would say Castellanos too.
This is where I think we're all in agreement. Nick Castellanos has been the biggest disappointment in this lineup. Now, my question to you guys is, Castellanos is not the biggest and best outfielder. Now he's not doing what he's supposed to do at the plate. What do you do about that? Do you just bench him for the playoffs? Is this a guy that the Phillies can afford to bench in the playoffs? Connor, I'll start with you.
I don't think so. I think he well, all starting major leaguers pride themselves on playing every day, but he specifically seems to pride himself on playing every day. So I don't think you can just bench him for the playoffs and like hope that the replacement for Nick Castellanos is going to replace his bat, basically. Like I just don't think that's a very good like that would be a wise move by Rob Thompson and the coaching staff to really employ. I don't see that happening. You guys might feel differently, but I just don't see it happening.
James,
Right.
what do you think? I mean, Nick Castellanos has been a disappointment at the plate. His batting average is down. He's not, he's pulling as our old boy Matty B would say, he's pulling a Reese Hoskins.
Right.
He's pulling his best Reese Hoskins impression. And like, look, I get, and we've seen it a couple years ago in the playoffs. Nick Castellanos could go on a heater, and when he does, he could carry a team.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand all that. But one of the questions I have to really harp on is he hasn't done it in like over 100 games this season. He hasn't been consistent. He's been a disappointment. And he's not just carrying. It'd be one thing if his bat was a disappointment, but his fielding was exemplary. But neither are like to write home about. So
Right.
I gotta ask, is benching Nick Castellanos for the playoffs, is that an option in your mind?
It should. I mean, it really should. After the performance he showed, it's been really like he's just been having a real disappointing year. I think that's the one thing that really bothers me more than anything is that he's just been really disappointed in so many ways. I mean, the thing that anyways, I apologize for not being active all day today. It's just my phone acting very weird on me and on this front. But with Castellanos, the one thing that I really think that maybe what he needs to do is Thompson needs to sit him down. I think that's the most important thing is that I can imagine. I mean, because there was a thing happening in towards the beginning of the year, around before the All-Star break, when Castellanos and Thompson had a little bit of a powwow of each other. So that's going to be something to keep a close eye on too. But the way Castellanos is just doing it right now, the way Castellanos is right now, he's not been playing well. I don't think he's been playing like I said. Um I would want to see other players I would rather see other players step up in his absence, like a Kepler for an example, or maybe Brandon Marsh, or even platoon Harrison Bader here and there. So maybe that's probably why they brought in Harrison Bader, is because they probably just don't trust Castellanos at this point.
For me, I've never been the biggest Max Kepler fan, and here's my thing: is Max Kepler and Nick Castellanos feel like the same player. They feel a lot alike. They're okay fielders, and at this point in this season, they've been okay hitters. They haven't been the kind of guys that we both expect them to be. I think Max Kepler came in with expectations that he would be a 20 plus home run guy, that he would be a exemplary fielder, he would be a guy that could definitely be that missing piece in the outfield, and he's been less than that up to this point. Nick Castellanos, as we know, he's had years in the Phillies organization through this run that you will look at him and go, okay, yeah, he's our guy. Like, he's Nicky Bats. Like, we can rely on him for that. And as of late this season, it just hasn't been there. For me, I have actually been surprisingly impressed with both Brandon Marsh and Bader. The idea that these two are actually doing enough tells me, okay, whether it's Nick Castellanos or whether it's Max Kepler, because like I said, both feel like the same type of player. Whether it's one or the other, you play one or the other in the playoffs, and you play Bader and Marsh with the other two outfield positions. Because I feel like Bader and Marsh give you a lot more versatility, both if they can get on base and in the outfield. They are good defensive fielders. They are good. They're at least been better, I should say, at the plate. So for me, I think you gotta choose. It's either going to be Max or Nick, and I think Bader and Marsh are your locks for the other outfield positions in the playoffs. But I think Nick or Max have to be the choice, and whoever is out, whether it's Max is off the bench or whether it's Nick off the bench, they have to take it as their personal mission coming off the bench to be that Jeff Jenkins. They have to be that guy, that Matt Stairs. They have to be that guy that can be ready and be ready at a moment's notice. I don't know if I can depend on them to be an effective hitter as a starting outfielder throughout the course of the playoffs. But I know that if I can play one off of the other, I know I have a chance. I know I have a chance to be an effective team in the playoffs. Now, let's move to the playoffs and let's move to the seeding. Currently, the Phillies are in the second seed. They are in the driver's seat in that regard. I do not know or think that they could capture the first seed. That might be a little challenging. Not to say it's impossible, but that could be a little challenging. Regardless, the second seed will give them a bye, a first round bye, and will give them home field advantage in the NLDS. I got to ask, Connor, I'll start with you. Is it priority one for the Philadelphia Phillies to lock in that second seed in order to get A, the home field in the DS, and B, to get their pitching rotation, especially with the loss of Zach Wheeler? They're getting their pitching rotation lined up for the DS. Is that something that has to be priority one for the Phillies right now? Is locking down that second seed?
I think so. I just think obviously last year it didn't work out too well, but I think getting to set up your rotation like you mentioned, and the crowd at Phillies home games Phillies home playoff games is always a factor. So yes, I do think that is priority numero uno for sure. But as always, like, we'll see what happens.
James, what do you think? Do you think it's priority one for the Phillies to lock down that second seed, get home field for the DS, get their pitching rotation, situated so that they can have put the best foot forward in the DS?
I would hope so. I would really would hope so. For me, I think Red October is something big here in this town. I really hope it'll be a big presence for the Phillies to see what they have in store. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, it'll be something to keep a close eye on more than anything. Is that that's going to be the most important thing I think for the Phillies too. Is that just for their own sake is that you do want to have home field advantage and you want to capture that number 2 seed more than anything. But yeah, I mean that's the one thing that comes down to it is that they have to do whatever they can to get back into a field again and hopefully Red October comes in full force this year obviously than it was last year. So it'll be something to keep a close eye on more than anything.
For me, the second seed means so much because we talked about the Mets, and there's a potential that we could face the Mets in a playoff series. And in about 2 weeks, we're about to kick off NFL season, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But in about 2 weeks from now, we're going to be in a 4-game series with the Mets at CBP, and I feel like that's going to be a crucial series because it's going to prove two things. Number one, gaining more distance in the division and possibly locking in the division. Then number two, it's going to prove to the Phillies that the New York Mets aren't invincible. They're not untouchable. Like I brought this up on Fly Like an Eagle last night. The batting average and the effectiveness of some of the primetime players in Major League Baseball, excuse me, has been
Bless you.
kind of the Phillies have been their kryptonite. When you look at like a Juan Soto, a Aaron Judge, a Shohei Ohtani, those three main names that are out there now, even a Fernando Tatis, like those guys have been pretty much main names in Major League Baseball. When they face the Phillies, they get pretty much shut down in comparison to what they usually do to other teams. Why is that? I think because the Phillies are overall a good team. I think overall they can handle and kind of zero in on the stars and kind of eliminate them from the equation. When you can eliminate the stars of those teams from the equation, you give yourself a good chance of being effective in a series. That being said, when the Mets come to the CBP in 2 weeks, I do think that the Phillies are going to take it as a mission statement that not only are we going to try to lock in the second seed, but we are going to send a statement to the Mets. If you happen to get past the wild card round and you happen to meet us in the division series, know two things. We do not fear you, and you coming to CBP will not be an easy task. Connor brought it up earlier. Nothing is like the atmosphere at CBP in playoff season. This with the Mets, I've heard this all week. We're scared of the Mets, or the Mets got our number, or we just they're in our head. First off, I don't buy that all entirely. I think City Field it's got their quirks. We've seen it before with other places, Arizona being one of them. The House of Horrors that place is for us, it's just amazing. But it's City Field. I think it's more about when you put enough motivation behind this team is capable of doing almost anything. And I think Kyle Schwarber, as we talked about earlier, I think he's a prime example of that. So to all the people out there that are watching and listening that are fearful that the New York Mets have our number, I just have one thing to say. This team doesn't give in very easily. The New York Mets are resting that they may think they have our number. But the problem is when you start to play with arrogance, you start to take your eye off the ball. The Phillies team is still playing with a lot of hunger. So even though we're up on the division, even though we're in the driver's seat in the division, we're playing like we're underdogs. And I like that. I like that people are counting this Phillies team out. I like that the pundits are saying we're scared of the Mets. I like all that because that makes me feel like the Phillies are thinking, okay, you doubt us? Fine. You doubted us in 22, and look how far we got. So, because I remember in 22, all I heard was this team is one and done. Huh. Where have I heard that this year? Oh, that's right, from Mitch Kofsky, one and done. I've heard this from Frank Finnegan, one and done. You don't think that the Phillies haven't heard the pundits kind of sitting here saying the same kind of things? They have. And I honestly think they are angling for the second seed. They are angling for redemption. And they are angling for the Mets in the playoffs. I know everyone's like, I don't want to face them. I think the Phillies want to face them. I think they want redemption. Now, my question to you guys is with Zach Wheeler and his injury, he's going to be out for 6 to 8 months. He's done for the season. My question is with this pitching rotation as it currently is, do you still consider this pitching rotation going into a playoff series, especially a playoff series against potentially the Mets? Do you see this pitching rotation as still a top tier pitching rotation in the major leagues? Connor, I'll start with you.
Yes, and it's not like a maybe yes. It's a very like categorical yes. Um, I mean Christopher Sanchez, for he's still, I don't know how I'm saying this, but he's still one of the most underrated pitchers in all of baseball. Ranger Suarez, the silent assassin. Um, he's just incredible. Aaron Nola, his last couple starts have been after the first inning. What was it, Thursday night? He was pretty much lights out. I mean, he was fine. Um, and then who am I forgetting? Luzardo. Luzardo's been good. So yes, I do still think of this as a top flight pitching staff, to use your phrase, Joe.
So, James, when you go into the DS, you're going to play in a series. I believe it's a 5-game series, I believe.
Yep.
In that short of a series, you're talking about, having this strong of a pitching rotation in general in a shortened series gives the Phillies a clear advantage. But losing Zach Wheeler is a big blow. My question to you is the same. Do you still consider this pitching rotation for the Philadelphia Phillies to be a top flight, top tier pitching rotation in the major leagues going into the playoffs?
I would hope so. I guess I would hope so. I'm not entirely sure because like you think about the Phillies with Zach Wheeler being out with the injury he has. It'll be something to keep a close eye on more than anything. So yeah, I would hope so that the pitching rotation will be as good as it was before Wheeler's injury. But right now, yeah, I would hope so more than anything.
So we're gonna switch gears and we're gonna go to your Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. Boys, we are less than a week away from kickoff, from banner night, from crowning it in a way where it's never been crowned before in the city of Philadelphia. We get to hang a banner, a championship banner, in front of our most hated rival in this city. We could talk about the Mets and the Phillies. We could talk about the Celtics and the Sixers. We could talk about the Rangers and the Flyers. But nothing takes more precedent than hating those Cowboys. And now being able to hang a banner at the link against with the Cowboys on the field, having the spotlight shine and us say to the Cowboys, gee, when's the last time you guys did that? Oh, wait, it's
VHS
been
tapes were still a thing.
what's that?
VHS tapes were still a thing.
Yeah, VHS was still a thing. Saved by the Bell was the best television show on TV. And by the way, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu, all these things did not exist then when the Cowboys were last Super Bowl champions. So, yeah, there's that. So that being said, I got to ask, you know, there was a big trade that everyone pretty much has heard about by now. Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and a player. I got to say, you know, this doesn't surprise me that they did this as much as some people did, because if Jerry really wanted to pay Micah Parsons, he would have. You know, I said this yesterday on Fly Like an Eagle. I said 2 weeks ago, Jared said on the Michael Irvin podcast that he would pay Micah Parsons as the highest paid defensive lineman in the National Football League. Okay, well, here's a little tidbit, Jared. If you're going to say that, you might want to do it.
You might want to back up the Brinks truck.
Yeah, you might want to actually like put your money where your mouth is, literally. Like, because your mouth, what's the old saying? Your mouth write a check that your ass can't cash, kind of thing. Basically, here's the thing: the Packers saw an opportunity, and Dallas had to make a choice. Do we fold up the tent this year? Understand that we're not going to be as good, but we need to get better. We need to get younger. We need to go back to those, triplet days. We need to rewind the VHS tape. We need to figure out how we were able to do it. We were able to do it by having a lot of first round picks, having a lot of high level picks. And that's how a lot of the people like Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Leon Lett, Emmett Smith, how those guys got to be Dallas Cowboys, because the Cowboys stockpiled picks and were able to pick the right players.
What's up, Halftime? Good morning.
So Jarrett is trying to do that again. Now, I get that. Now, here's my thing. The Packers, at the minute that the ink dried on this trade, the Packers signed Micah Parsons to a 4-year, $188 million, $136 million guaranteed contract. Now, I got to ask, Connor, this makes Micah Parsons the highest paid defensive lineman in the National Football League at $47 million average per season. First things first. Was this a good trade for both the Packers and the Cowboys? Second, was there an advantage? Did one team get a higher advantage than the other?
I think it's. I know they got less in the trade, but I think it's pretty safe to say that the Green Bay Packers won this trade. I know Micah Parsons can't stop the run and all that jazz, but let's look at what the Cowboys got for a minute. They got Kenny Clark, which is a 29-year-old defensive tackle who, yes, he can stop the run, but is he as accomplished as a pass rusher as Micah Parsons is? No. And they also got 2 first-round picks, which could end up being late first-round picks because the Packers have a chance to be really good in the next couple of years. So they got two late unproven commodities, basically.
Mhm.
So you put that up against what the Green Bay Packers got, which is Micah Parsons, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Even though, again, he can't stop the run to save his life, but I believe his pass rushing ability counteracts his inability to stop the run.
James, I'll ask the same question to you. What do you think about this trade, and do you think any team won the trade more so than the other?
Come to think of it, with the Micah Parsons thing, it's one of those things that I think the thing that surprises me the most is that Jerry just says, "Oh, we'll bring him back, and then the next thing you know, he ships him off to Green Bay. So I don't know what the circumstance might be for the realization of what he was trying to do there, but the way he explained it at that press conference, it was like he was full, not part of my French here, but he was fucking full of shit, gonna admit.
Now, here's my thing. So, and this is one of the things I thought about. So, if this trade was an inevitability, let's just say it was. If this trade was an inevitability, then why not do it before the draft? Like my thought was, okay, if Micah Parsons is going to go, because Connor brought up a great point. The 2 first-round picks, they got to wait a whole season for that to even, we're not even sure what that's going to look like. They're not even sure what that's going to look like. It was, yeah, you get Kenny Clark, but it was almost like a salary dump if you want to look at it like from an NBA perspective. They took picks and that's not a bad thing. You got 2 first-round picks, but one of the questions I had was, if this was an inevitability, why not do this before the NFL draft and you could get a commodity? You could have Kenny Clark and you could have a commodity or two right now. Could help your team right now. Connor, why do you think this didn't happen before the draft?
I think Jerry is so and I guess enamored with his hubris that he thought, well, I'll get a deal done with Micah, and he just treats, or he just seems to treat his employees playthings, essentially. And I've made this comparison before. Like, this version of Jerry Jones is like Vince McMahon in his later years when he ran creative for WWE. He's just a senile old man, who the game or the show has passed him by, and he couldn't just throw money at things back when there wasn't a salary cap in the NFL. You have to abide by a salary cap now, and for one of the richest owners in the game, he can't use all his power because he has to abide by more bylaws and rules and things of that nature. So I don't know why it didn't happen before the draft. Only one person knows that, and that's Jerry Jones. And he's not going to come on the Pattison Ave Sports Show to divulge that information. But
let's be clear. The Pattison Ave Sports Show has had an open door policy from its inception, and even before. So Jared Jones, please. I don't mean to disagree with Connor, but please, if you would like to come on this show, by all means, sir, the floor will be yours. Maybe for your idiocy, but the floor will still be yours.
Yeah, my dad brings up a very good point here. My dad, Joe Scores here, says, I think Jared made it personal, like he brought up yesterday. He said he wasn't ever looking to trade Micah until he got pissed off about it.
Okay, but you got to take emotion out of business sometimes.
Yeah.
Like my feeling is when you're treating your business emotionally, you're not seeing it with clarity. That's just my takeaway. Is that I'm trying to launch my own business, and I've said this before. Like you can have people in your circle that are helping you build your business. Like my wife is my co-owner and everything, but like you have to separate personal and business in a way where you can still make clear decisions. Like you can't just be emotionally tied to just, okay, I'm going to go do this or I'm going to go do that. And it's not the most sound decision. I can't sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to go sell um DJ mixers. Like I'm gonna go sell DJ sound machines and whatnot. I can't say that and then put it on like a sports podcast and say, "Hey, everybody that's listening, please go buy these DJ mixers." When you're listening to me for sports, like that's one of the reasons why my business is going to have like sports stuff, sports jerseys and apparel and accessories and stuff like that. There's a reason for that. I lean into what I already know well how to do well. Jared doesn't. And I honestly, Connor brought up something, and as you brought it up, Connor, I started to think. I don't think Jerry Jones picked the right sport to be an owner in. I think he should have been an owner in baseball because in baseball, at least you could spend as much money as you want. For right now, there isn't a salary cap. There hasn't been for quite some time. You think if Jerry Jones was the owner of I don't know the Minnesota Twins or the Cleveland Guardians, you got to think if that guy was the owner of that, and Jerry Jones could probably buy both franchises, lock, stock, and barrel. He could probably buy both Minnesota Twins and Cleveland Guardians for bargain basement prices. Believe me, for how much Jerry's worth. That being said, Jerry thinks the NFL is the Major League Baseball. You can't treat it that way. And
No.
look, down the road, and Howie Roseman knows this, down the road in like 2 or 3 years, that salary cap and the way that contracts will be constructed, it's going to get more meticulous because even Howie Roseman, the genius that he is going to be like, okay, I'm going to have to get more creative. And that's a guy who's been creative with the salary cap. So now you're talking about a guy who's been creative is going to sit there and say, the way the league's going to change, I got to get more creative.
Right.
So for me, James, why do you think this trade never happened before the draft?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I saw a thing yesterday on First Take that he actually had Jordan Love on his, like, it was either that Jordan Love had him on his podcast or it was Micah Parsons having him on his podcast. And he probably said, he basically said, like, if we were a perfect match, we'll be a dominant team. And when you behold, like, that was like in February, right after that Super Bowl, around the Super Bowl, probably after the Super Bowl. And when you know, he's now, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, too bad Micah doesn't play on the offense, though.
Yeah,
That's
true too. Bobby Murphy checks in. What's going on, Bobby? Good to see you again, buddy. So he says that Jerry is senile, not his phone. He sends a life and emojis. So he says, yeah, basically he says, like he's. I mean, the way Jerry talks about this thing too, and tries to deny and say, "Oh, it wasn't my fault." Like he wanted out here so badly. I mean, he literally like threw him under the bus, ran him over the bus, and then threw him under the bus again and ran him over again. So, I mean, it was just that like I would not want to be if I was like a Cowboy right now, I would probably not even want to be associated with Jerry Jones. Like if anybody's asking me, like say for example, like some team picks like if I was still in my glory day, if I was going to play football, right? And Jerry Jones says, "Hey, I would love for you to come here." I'm thinking, the hell I do? Like, why would I want to? Why would I want to go to a team that's so disgruntled and like even Bobby said, senile?
The only way I would go to the Cowboys, and God knows I would never go to the
Never.
Cowboys.
Never.
But if I were a football player, the only business decision that I would make is if you were going to pay me a boatload of money.
Oh, yeah.
Hence why I think Dak Prescott is happy because he's one of the highest paid people in the NFL. So, like, of course, Dak Prescott is happy because the check is clearing. Like, he doesn't care. Like, Dak Prescott's legacy isn't going to be about Super Bowls. Dak Prescott's legacy is going to be much like, a Jay Cutler. He's going to have the money, but none of the glory. And so good for you, Dak Prescott. You got your bills when you needed them, but to think that you're going to be even close to sniffing the Hall of Fame, you're out of your mind. That being said, we're going to move to Thursday and we're going to stick with the Micah Parsons thing. So Micah Parsons, as Connor brought up, he's a talented guy. He's still a high level talent. He may not be able to stop the run, but he's one of the more dominant pass rushers in the league. That being said, Jalen Hurts has one less person to worry about on Thursday night. Micah Parsons departing Dallas. Will that make the Eagles, I guess, game on Thursday easier? Because you got to think, you have Lawrence that's gone from that defensive line, and now Micah Parsons. Connor, I got to ask, like, is this Cowboys defense cooked?
Uh, yes, I think they are. You have Kenny Clark, which good run stopper, I guess. Well, not I guess, he's a good run stopper. Trayvon Diggs, who can't seem to stop a double move to save his life.
And he's on the injury list, so he might not even play.
Oh yeah, my fault. And then is Deron Bland hurt still, or?
I have no idea. I think he might have.
I want to know, dude.
I mean,
excuse me.
I know Bland is not as good as he once was. I also think they had. I'm not sure if they still like re-upped them, but they had another good corner out there. But yeah, I mean, this defense is kind of broken apart.
Yeah, I say all that to say yes. This Cowboys team is cooked. I would not be surprised if the Eagles put up at least 45 on the Cowboys defense.
I had a feeling too. I mean, me and Joey had a similar score too with that too. We had a 44, 45, 40 burger.
Yeah. So James, I got to ask, with the departure of Micah Parsons from this defense,
Yeah.
D-Law being gone, the Trayvon Diggs possibly not playing, there's a lot of missing. 2-3 years ago, I said that this Dallas Cowboys defense could be dangerous. And I meant that because I saw this defense kind of growing in talent. Trayvon Diggs was like one of the best intercepting cornerbacks or defensive backs in the league. You had Micah Parsons, who was one of the best pass rushers in the league. Probably still is. You had Dexter Lawrence that was, really dominant.
Marcus Lawrence, I think it was.
Marcus Lawrence.
Yeah, there's two Lawrences. There was a giant, and then it's kind of a weird to think of, but good.
So, but you had these guys that are no longer relevant on this defense. You have to start to ask yourself the question, is this defense and for the Cowboys cooked? And if so, how much pressure does that put on someone like a Dak Prescott in this Cowboys offense?
Yeah, it's interesting, Joe, because you think about it. I mean, like, what up, like, this week, Micah Parsons going to Green Bay. Yeah, I mean, if the only threat that the Eagles, if the Cowboys have, like, as a so-called threat is either CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens or even, like, a Miles Sanders, like, we can say right now that Miles Sanders is a journeyman more than anything. But, yeah, I mean, I don't see any I don't see them as a big threat going to win. I mean, if for me, I just if the team, let's say for example, if the Cowboys say for example win the division, I mean, it's not going to come easy because that division is going to be really tight for them. But for me, I mean, I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to win the division, God forbid, or anything like that. But for me, um, the real reality of it is that they have nobody on that team. I mean, right now, Michael Parsons was the leader on that team. I don't think if I had to pick a leader on a team for this Cowboys team, I can't pick one. Gonna admit, I don't know who's going to be like. I mean, maybe it's Prescott, maybe it's CeeDee Lamb, but on the defensive front, I don't even know who's going to be that X factor to keep a close eye on, especially coming up on Thursday.
When we talk about Micah Parsons and his departure,
Mm-hmm.
prior to his departure, we as Philadelphia Eagles fans, despite him being from the area, did not like Micah because he liked to talk trash.
Yeah.
And I respect guys that are on the opposing team, the rivals that talk trash. If you can't take it, don't give it, kind of thing.
Right. Sure.
So I got to ask this question: with the Cowboys game coming up, and all of that, the rivalry as strong as it is, and potentially the rivalry having slanted in the Eagles' favor for the past couple of years, I got to ask, and I'll start with you, Connor. Who is your most hated Cowboy player of all time?
God damn. For me, it's probably Tony Romo.
Yeah.
He was just, oh god, he was a hate to face. But
that's true.
But you always had the comforting feeling that he would choke in December or January. So it was, if you faced him in September, it was all good because I was like, give it a few months. We're gonna be good. Not necessarily the Eagles, but the world's cosmic order or whatever would be restored. So
yeah,
I would say Tony Romo.
James, same question. Who is your most hated Cowboy player of all time?
Well, it's obvious for me. You probably could remember back in 2015 when we brought this Cowboy in, and he was a complete utter disaster. So
Marco
it was
Murray.
DeMarco Murray. Exactly right, brother. Exactly right. So I remember when he came to the Eagles, I said to myself, he ain't gonna fit in. He's gonna be like Johnny Hustle, if it was a word Johnny Hustle to describe it. In the first game of this, or no, there's the second game of the season. It was the Eagles taking on Dallas. Chip Kelly couldn't get out of his own 20-yard line to save a nosebleed, and DeMarco Murray's going backwards. And I remember Erod going on a complete rant at walking out of the stadium, absolutely embarrassed. And I said to myself, that's DeMarco Murray's career as an Eagle. Instead of going forward, he went backwards all the way back to Texas where he belongs. So that's for me. I mean, I would say Miles Austin too, but I said, Miles Austin could go scratch too. Terry Glenn could go scratch. I couldn't stand Des Bryant, but the biggest one I hate the most more than anything was that the guy that we brought in to replace Shady, but the difference was he was a shady prick too, in DeMarco Murray.
So I'm gonna go with another running back. I got to go with Ezekiel Elliott. This is a guy with his little crop top, coming from Ohio State, acting like the big bad dude he thought he was. He thought he was the next Emmitt Smith. He thought that the sun rose and set when he woke up in the morning. Listen, Zeke, pay for a full shirt because you need it. The little baby bump that you have as a stomach ain't something I need to see. Okay. Here's the fact of the matter. You were a good running back for 2 seasons. That was it. Okay. Emmitt Smith was a good running back for almost a decade. Okay. There's a big difference between you and Emmitt Smith. Just because you wore the star doesn't mean you were a star. Believe me when I tell you, this is a guy that just stuck in my craw because he just would always be on like with a poofed up hair, with his necklace, with the crop top. I'm like, dude, what are you trying to prove?
Like he's a
Like,
big shot.
yeah, where he was anything but. So that's the guy who I pick as my most hated Cowboy. It's between him and Michael Irvin because I cannot stand Michael Irvin. Oh, how about them Cowboy? How about it? Like, dude, I understand Jerry's got a check with your name on it every time you say those words, but you don't need to pander anymore. Okay, you just don't.
Well, I'll go one step closer because I always remember I think it was my first time I actually knew about the Eagles Dallas rivalry was the great late Jim Murray talking about it with when he was talking about the vet days, especially the 1981 championship game, and he said calling Tom Landry out with the Russian hat and all that. So so for me to pay tribute to Jim Murray too, may he rest in peace. He was a great guy. May he rest easy on, especially coming up this week between the Eagles and the Cowboys. But for me, that showed me one of the reasons why I became an Eagles fan and the reason why I became basically, more importantly, why I knew about the whole circumstance of Cowboys and Eagles hating each other. So for me, like going back and like reminiscing about that '81 championship game with him back when I was a 13-year-old, and my dad talking about it too. So it was a great memory. But for me, made me realize too that we had to bring it home for Jim Murray this year without a doubt too. And also we got to win it for Jim Murray because I know he hated the Dallas Cowboys more than we do, more than anything, Joe and Connor here.
Yeah, and
So go ahead, Connor.
and Emmett Smith's peak was closer to like a decade and a half than just like 2 years. So
Right.
Emmett Smith had Zeke beat by about 12 years. So.
Yeah, and like that's the thing for Zeke to go from relevant to relegated to a backup running back on the New England Patriots, who were rebuilding with Sam Howell at one point in time.
Yeah.
I don't really want to hear that, like. And by the way, Sam Howell, part of the Philadelphia Eagles, with a trade that they made a couple weeks ago.
A couple days. I think it was a couple days ago, right?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Some of the little minor moves that Howie makes under the radar. That being said, let's get down to brass tacks about this upcoming game. What is the thing, and I'll start with you, James. What is the thing you are most looking forward to seeing out of your Philadelphia Eagles this coming Thursday on Banner Night?
Well, to tell you the truth, I would love to see a celebration here. I mean, because obviously I was at the game in 2018 when we raised the banner, and it was like so fast and ab lib. It was like obviously there was like a thunderstorm happening in typical Philadelphia fashion. It was a thunderstorm, and obviously we had to wait a couple hours for that banner to be celebrated. I remember getting into my seats. I said, "Okay, I'm gonna celebrate this championship." I got a voice for it. I didn't burn my voice out when I saw a 0 Super Bowl jersey being burned down from 4th of John. And then I see a thing on the screen. Please evaluate to, please evaluate, please evacuate. Thank you. Evacuate to your nearest concourse. There's a storm in the area, and I'm like, motherfucker, man. Seriously? I mean, we waited 57 years for a Super Bowl title, and now we can't even celebrate it. I mean, hopefully, I would love to be there this time around for the second one. So expensive to get tickets nowadays for an Eagles game. It's unfreaking believable. But I will be repping my B-Dog jersey like we always do, Joe. So I'll be repping that in style. For me, though, I'm looking forward to seeing just the same old stuff that we did last year. Just to like keeping the main thing the main thing. Jalen Hurts doing his stuff. Saquon Barkley being Saquon. AJ and Devontae. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I'm going to say right now. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's going to be a close game because, like Mitch said, it was a close game. But I think I might be in the 40 range, like I said yesterday.
Connor, what are you most looking forward to seeing in Thursday night's game?
Probably how Kevin Patullo how Kevin Patullo handles like the play calling duties. I just think that would that that's going to be an interesting little storyline. I I'm really excited to see that. He's been with Nick and Jalen for as long as they've been here. So yeah, it should be really interesting. And he has a Porsche, a Lambo, a Ferrari at his disposal. Maybe a BMW for Saquon, but yeah, like it's just so exciting. It'll be so exciting how he decides to use these luxury cars um, at his disposal. So I'd say Kevin Patullo's play calling.
Well, there's an old buddy of mine would say, "Give the keys to the Escalade, getting the keys to the Escalade." So it'll be Saquon will be the Escalade for sure, or maybe Jordan
Yeah.
Mailata.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I if we're gonna do like luxury cars reference, I would agree with the Lambo and the Ferrari and whatnot. I
The
I would
Auto Group will be very happy.
well, yeah. I would also go with Saquon. I would go Cadillac because
Oh yeah,
he's classy, stylish, and he's reliable as hell.
either that or
Like,
a Land Rover.
well, yeah, well. I think
I'm
someone
going.
like
I'm going with an Escalade. So that's
I think Landon Dickerson. I think the offensive line is the Land Rover.
oh yeah.
Like they
Oh
they,
hell
they
yeah.
plow the road, but more than anybody else. My
Cool.
thing that I'm most looking forward to
I
on
like that,
Thursday night
Bobby.
is, and I said yesterday this was going to be where my hot take was going to come in. I am most looking forward to the start of this season and seeing where the linebacker position and how that shakes out.
Hmm.
It's been not talked about quite as much because the defensive backs have been talked about more with the replacement of Darius Slay and CJ but we forget that we have to replace N'Kobe Deem in the beginning of this season.
Right.
And we have to, Oren Burks, we have to replace those guys.
Hmm.
Uh, I predict a huge, huge output from Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Ooh,
I am calling it right now that this guy's going to have a breakout year. Mark my words,
I
Jeremiah
like it.
Trotter Jr. is going to live on his family legacy in Eagles green this season. And I think Campbell is going to be a nice change of pace. You're going to have Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who's going to be good at pursuit and he's going to be good at like man coverage. He's going to help with that tight end position and covering the tight end. He has had a great camp. He's had a great preseason. He is chomping at the bit because he knows there is a potential that he could have a starting role on this Eagles defense. So
Yep.
Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is going to be my breakout star for this season, and you will see it start with the Dallas Cowboys. And Jeremiah Trotter Jr. might not have the sacks against the Cowboys, but I am going to go out on a limb and say he is going to have a great game shutting down Ferguson, the tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. I feel like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. may not have the numbers, but will have the influence on the game, especially early on. That being said, I am looking forward to this defense as a whole because I feel like a lot of people are looking at this defense and thumbing their nose at the fact that they have a lot of replacement players for guys like Darius Slay and CJ
Yeah.
Let me be clear. Darius Slay played about 80 to 75 to 80% of the snaps last season. That means someone else had to come in and play. I get that that was probably Eli Rogers. I get that. But I still feel like there is enough of a team on this defense for us to see how to plug and play. When you have I never thought I'd say this since Jim Johnson's been gone. In Vic Fangio, I trust.
Mhm.
And I never thought I'd say that about any defensive coordinator since Jim Johnson. But after last season, I believe it. I
Yeah.
believe it. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what this defense can do because I know this offense for the Philadelphia Eagles is going to be a juggernaut. And
Yeah.
that's not a hot take. That is literally the guarantee. That's not a spoiler. That's a guarantee.
Guarantee.
So my next question to you guys is this. So it's a two-parter, and it comes with the territory as being Super Bowl champion. Number one, will the Eagles have a Super Bowl hangover? And
Mm.
number two, with the tough schedule that the Eagles have in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season,
Yeah.
and the fact that in the last two seasons, the Eagles have had some rocky starts.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you guys, will there be a Super Bowl hangover for the Eagles? And will they struggle? Will the fan base freak out if they have a slow start to the season? Connor, I'll start with you.
I personally, I don't think the leaders on this team will allow for a Super Bowl hangover. Just like I just think the fact that, like, obviously this is a minor thing, but like Jalen not wearing the ring, that's I feel like that something that small could set the tone for the team. Like, we're on to a new year. We're not defending anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a new year. We're just the 2024 champs. So it's like we're not defending anything. Everybody's 0-0. So let's roll the balls out and let's play.
Yeah, absolutely.
James, same questions. Super Bowl hangover, and what do you think the fan base will do if this team gets off to a slow start this season?
Um, I'm in the same exact boat as Connor here about what he said about that the team won't recognize a Super Bowl hangover because the team is young. They got so much talent on this team. I don't think it'll be something to keep a close eye on. But I think for me, I think the schedule is a perfect way to get into a new season because you think about in 2018, right, when they won that Falcon game, but it was on the edge of your. It was like at the skin of your teeth, and then the next week that Tampa Bay game was just a real cluster bleep, cluster shit show, But for me, the thing that I sticked out the most is that I remember Nick Foles talking about this when he talked about it when after he couldn't stay focused just because Carson Wentz was coming back in week 3, and he said that that like I couldn't stay focused just because we had to play Carson Wentz's style of offense because we're going to try to prepare him when he comes back against the week against I think it was against the Colts in week 3. That's why we couldn't stay focused. I don't see that happening with this team. Yeah, sure, you'll have your fair share of obstacles a little bit probably in the first game of the season with maybe the new offense and trying to figure out what you'll have in store. But overall, it's not something to worry about. That defense. I trust Vic Fangio. I trust our secondary a little bit too. But that's going to be a big storyline. What Bobby talks about too, because he says I think Bennett gets to start. If he struggles, we'll go to Adoree Jackson. It'll be something. Platooning is something to keep a close eye on too, like you brought up yesterday, Joe, with the platooning of the secondary. Either it's going to be Keely Ringo or Adoree Jackson or even Jacorian Bennett. So yeah, that's going to be something to keep a close eye on too. But and even Bobby brings up a very good point here. The only hangover that we have is that I might be hungover by Friday morning. LOL. So
well, you ain't going to be the only one. I'll tell you that right now.
I think we're all going to be hungover
the beers are on ice already.
Yeah, the beers are on ice and the whiskey's already about to be made.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the thing too. But I don't see that much of a. If you want to talk about the so-called gauntlet, maybe it'll be early on in this season. But I don't. The Chiefs. I don't know. I'm not too crazy about the Chiefs. They're still trying to figure out. Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But maybe they take a step back. I don't know what the Rams are going to be like with Matthew Stafford with that back injury, depending on who's going to be that starter. Because, I mean, that's going to be a week-to-week thing with Matthew Stafford. And the Buccaneers got Baker Mayfield with a new offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. So it's going to be something to keep a close eye on. But I think the Eagles, I mean, if they lose like one of those games, it might be that Chiefs game. But I see them beat the Rams, and I see them beat Tampa Bay, too, finally.
Well, I like to believe that they can beat Tampa Bay. There's something about going down to Tampa Bay. I really just...
Yeah, it's like the Mets, like with the Phillies.
Well, but I'd like to understand something. Why is it that we always have to go there?
I don't get it
Can they
either.
just come here?
Would be nice.
Like, I'm tired of going, like, having.
I hate that freaking Cannons too, man.
Well, I
My
hate
God.
the damn stadium.
Oh no, it's a dump. It's a dump.
Yeah, so
that at FedEx Field.
Yes, and so like my thing is this. I see this team coming out against the Cowboys thriving. I see they'll have extra time because they play on Thursday. They'll have extra time until they play against the Chiefs.
Right.
So they'll have time to kind of prepare for the Chiefs. So I think the Chiefs will be a win. Because I think they'll be ready. I think the Rams, it's like you said, Stafford, here's my problem. Stafford is not getting any younger. I get that we want to give him credit for this kind of quarterback that I think the mystique has overshadowed the actual player's talent. I don't think Matt Stafford is like this great Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm sorry. Right. I just don't.
No.
I don't see it the way other people see it in that way. Maybe someone...
I don't get it either, Joe.
Maybe people could tell me why I'm wrong. I'm okay with that. But I just need someone to explain to me why there's this mystique about Matthew Stafford, so much so that he's only won one Super Bowl, and then before he even got to the Rams, he wasn't relevant in Detroit. He couldn't win with Calvin Johnson. He couldn't win with like these guys that were like good team offensive weapons. I mean, I remember sitting and watching the draft year after year after year, and I could put easy money on the fact that the Lions would draft a receiver in the first round because they did it for 4 or 5 years straight. It was like when you have this many weapons as in the Lions organization, yet you couldn't get it done. That doesn't tell me you're like a special quarterback because Jalen Hurts has gotten all these weapons and look what he's done with it.
That's true.
And so, much sooner than a guy like Matthew Stafford. And
that's the thing too.
Go ahead.
No, and that's the thing too, because like you think about it, is because with Stafford, you make a very good point about him having Calvin Johnson. I forgot he had Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
And I forgot he had like good receivers too. I mean, he even had like I don't know how about the running game as much, but that was Megatron. I mean, yeah, but the thing about it too with Stafford is just that like he finally resurrects his career with the Rams, and then after that, like he's a savior now because like everybody thinks Stafford's like one of those best. I mean, look, I mean, like where credit is due. I mean, he's just an average at best quarterback. He's another Sam Bradford. I think that's probably what it is. I think he's just another Sam Bradford.
I agree. And like the fact that Sam Bradford has not gone into this illustrious, echelon or tier of quarterbacks.
Right.
My thing is
same draft, right?
I want to say yes.
Might be.
So my thing is this.
What's that, Connor?
Bradford was drafted, I think, in 2010.
Okay. Also, Stafford was that Stafford 2009?
Stafford was 2008, the year after the Lions went.
Oh, okay. Wow. Wow, he's been around a long time.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Like here's my thing. So I feel like the Eagles could win against the Cowboys. I feel like the Eagles can win against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I feel like the Eagles could even win against the Rams because I just don't think they have, if we face a team that's got a good offense but has a subpar defense, I give the advantage to the Eagles because our offense is just it's disgusting. It's absolutely like I could never have assembled that kind of offense together in Madden if I tried. I just couldn't. So kudos to Howie Roseman. So
Yeah.
there's that. And then the idea of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm sorry. I don't understand what our issue is with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and going to Tampa Bay and kind of going, like I don't know.
Schedule loss. Feels like
Like
a
schedule
loss.
loss. Like
Yeah.
so I think that if we pull out for the first 4 games 2-2 or 3-1, I think we're good. Like we're on that solid path.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think in the NFC this year, especially now with Green Bay getting Micah, that
Mhm.
means the NFC North is going to be a dogfight against the Packers and the Lions. And God forbid you get the Bears to somehow come out of their cave and out of hibernation and actually do something with Caleb Williams.
Yeah. Right.
God forbid.
Well,
You know,
you know the thing about that too.
a
With
USC quarterback that can do something.
Yeah, right. That's true. And the other thing too, Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams are having a little bit of a disagreement over it in Chicago.
Oh, shocker. Shocker. The diva quarterback can't get along with a talented offensive mind. Why don't
Kind
you
of,
shut up, Caleb? And just
kind of sounds
listen.
familiar. Kind of sounds familiar to another guy that used to be down here by the name of Carson Wentz or something.
Oh, yeah. Also, it sounds familiar of another USC quarterback that thought he was all that in a bag of chips and
Matt Leinart,
realized,
right?
no. Mark Sanchez.
Oh, Mark Sanchez.
He
That's
was all that in a bag of chips until he had the butt fumble, and then he was the laughing stock of the NFL.
man. That has to be such an embarrassment with all those USC
He resurrected
quarterbacks.
his career in Philly for like 20 minutes. It was cool.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He resurrected it all for like
That-
exactly what you said, 20 minutes. He was
or even
literally like,
15.
yeah, he was like, I think I could be good here. Yes, you could be good here because Sam Bradford's good here. You're better than Sam Bradford, so don't think too hard on that, Mark.
Think about that. The quarterbacks that we had was Sam Bradford and Mark Sanchez.
Yes.
I would understand if it was Nick Foles and Mark Sanchez, but I mean, oh my god, that actually just gives me a migraine.
Here's what gives you a bigger migraine.
What's that?
Nick Foles was traded for Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford, yeah, I remember. Yeah. I do remember that.
So it's kind of like, okay, we're doing this
and we traded
trade.
Shady for an injury-prone linebacker and Kiko Alonso.
Remember, good on us.
Kiko friggin' Alonso. Thanks, Chip Kelly.
Good on us. And Kiko Alonso gave us some total of like 20 tackles. Good for us.
Jesus.
So here's my thing. I see this team as striving forward in the first four games.
I do too.
Just because I don't see these defenses being much against us. I think Tampa Bay is just a house of horrors. I think the only loss that we have with this first 4 games, I don't see it as the team beating us. I see us beating ourselves. Kind of like being in our own heads. I'll
say this right now too. I know we got to wrap up here. With Baker Mayfield, I mean, you think about it. He had a really good offensive coordinator for a couple of years since he came back to Tampa. Since he went to Tampa Bay, I think he takes a step back this year with those 2 coordinators that he missed. I mean, obviously Todd Bowles is going to be Todd Bowles. That's going to be Todd Bowles' defense, no question about it. But I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure, but I think Baker Mayfield turns into a pumpkin a little bit this year.
I hope so. From your mouth to God's ears, and I still love the Todd Bowles mic'd up about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
he's like,
right.
He's predictable. We just all have to do
like your quarterback isn't? Seriously, bro?
Yeah, seriously.
Come on,
brother. This is not like Baker Mayfield is the next coming of Tom Brady. Let's pump
the
brakes.
No, he's not even.
Brakes.
I mean, seriously, I'd say. I mean, look, I understand he's a good quarterback, but he's not like Joe Montana here. I mean, let's keep it 100 here.
All right, so let's get down. Me and James gave our predictions yesterday on Fly Lake and Eagle. I'm going to repeat mine. Mine for Thursday night, I have the Eagles beating the Cowboys 45-24. James, your prediction is
Well, I was going to say 44, but I'm in the same category as you. I say 45-21.
Connor, what is your prediction for Thursday night's game?
I I'd probably say like and this is on the assumption that this defense can surprise some people. I think 45-17.
Okay. I think we're all in the same category that the Eagles offense is going to smoke this Cowboys defense. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is really the consensus we have. And James, before we get out of here, there's
Sure.
one special thing, well, two special things that I want to do. Number one, for anyone out there that is still looking for those last minute tickets for Banner Night, we got the great sponsor for you, GameTime.co. Listen, it is time for football season to kick off. It is time to crown the champions. It is time to whoop them boys. If you want your last minute tickets, check out GameTime.co. James, tell them more about it.
Yeah, Joe, today's show is sponsored by our friends over at GameTime.co. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm going to try to nail it here. Calling all Phillies sports fans need tickets last minute. Don't worry, GameTime.co has got you covered for all your Philadelphia tickets, Phillies tickets, Eagles tickets, Flyers tickets coming up soon. And maybe if you want to watch the Sixers, I feel sorry for you, Mitch, because I don't want to try to toot your own horn here, but you can do much better than the Sixers here. But you can check out your seat view before you buy and snag on great discounts and so much more at GameTime.co. But remember to scan that QR code right next to Kyle Schwarber. Hopefully this will be Saquon Barkley at some point.
Yep.
And also, more importantly than anything like that, or scan the QR code or visit them online at GameTime.co. Proud sponsors to the Philadelphia Eagles, Philadelphia Phillies, hopefully the Flyers, and hopefully the 76ers, or visit them online, like I said, at GameTime.co for more information.
So scan that QR code, get your tickets, go to Banner Night, make some noise,
Love it.
and let's show the boys what winners look like.
Yep. What time is it? Game time.
Yes. And so that's the number one thing. Number two, I want everyone to please hit that like and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok, all your major social media networks. Follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channels at Stream Punk Entertainment Pennsylvania and Hardcore Sports Network. I almost said Wildfire. Jesus.
Wow. Going back a ways.
That's going back a ways. Yeah.
What was that? The first time I actually worked with you guys was that?
Yes.
That was Wildfire, was it?
Yeah. shout out to John Creighton.
Yeah, Frankie Donahue. Miss you guys like crazy, man. Hope all is well.
Absolutely. Connor, please tell everybody where they can find you.
Yep. So, Sports Live in the 215 on all social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I guess it's technically social media. YouTube too. Anywhere you get your sports content, it'll be over there. And also my podcast has a relationship or is part of the Hardcore Sports Network. So
nice.
When is your next show going to air, Connor?
Probably later today. I'll probably have a Phillies and Braves like series kind of mid-point video, I guess. Like the 4-game series is kind of weird. So yeah, I'll probably have a video out today at some point.
Excellent.
All right, so hit that like and subscribe. Hit that that bell. You'll get notified anytime there's a new video that is put up on the channels for Stream Punk Entertainment PA and Hardcore Sports Network. Me and James are also going to be doing the This Week in Phillies baseball. We have other Philly Fame Legend episodes that are going to be dropping in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned with that. There's a lot of cool episodes that are going to be coming up. Larry Boa, Roy Halladay. There's going to be a lot of cool episodes coming up about that. Stay tuned. Me and James will be making an announcement about a potential upcoming Flyers show. Also, working on getting Jim Jackson back on the show
Ooh, I
to
love
talk
that.
a little bit about the Flyers and a season preview. So stay tuned for that. So
Ooh.
if you want all that and
Ooh.
more, if you want all that and more, hit that like, subscribe, hit that bell, follow us on all social media, YouTube, and we'll see you then. But for Connor, for James, I'm Joe Marks. This is the Pattison Ave Sports Show. Philly, have a good weekend. Let's go Birds.
Go Birds and Dallas sucks.